Everybody, welcome to Five Guys on Live. I hear some background, guys. Mute, and we'll just unmute as we speak. It's gone. So, everybody, welcome. We are happy to have with us Zach Thomas, as Dr. Pickett is out tonight. So, for those of you who are watching us from Dr. Pickett's feed, he is not with us tonight, but he will be back with us, we hope, next week. And so we're glad to have, national renowned diversity inclusion expert, Zach Thomas, here with us tonight as we talk about a number of issues. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing? Is everyone having a good week?
I'm doing great. It's Monday. Blessed
and highly favored as we resist.
It was a beautiful day today.
It was a beautiful day. And we have a number of topics to discuss. Starting first and foremost, we're going to go right into really a news story that literally happened. It happened last week on Monday night as we were recording Five Guys on Live. We were here talking about our mothers when 21-year-old killer Ahmad Al-Awi Al-Isa shot up 10 people in a mass shooting in Colorado. Now, this is not actually the story. This is just a precursor because this was the first instance of incident of violence that happened. And then not only there, but the very same week we had this happen in Atlanta. Some people may not even know about this story. CJ, tell us about it.
So literally 2 days after the mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado, at a local grocery store where 10 people were murdered, literally 2 days later, Rico Marley, he's 22 years old, walked into a local Publix here in Atlanta at the Atlantic Station Publix location. And he brought in 6 guns, body armor, into the Publix grocery store, stashed them in the bathroom. Charles Russell, who was a local consumer just shopping, actually seen him in the bathroom and reported it immediately to the local workers and called the cops. And he was therefore arrested. He's now in jail in Fulton County, and he has no bond. And his first appearance was last Thursday, and he got charged with 5 counts of criminal attempt to commit a felony and 6 counts of possession of a firearm or knife during commission or of attempt to commit certain felonies. So thank God nobody was hurt, nobody was harmed, nobody was injured, but he definitely had an intent to do something. And it's just crazy that it literally happened 2 days right after the same incident that happened at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado. Luckily enough, somebody was good enough to catch it and, report it to the workers and call the cops immediately.
So, CJ, what are your thoughts about this crime and what makes this something that people need to know about?
We're just in crazy times right now between this pandemic and, different races and ethnicities being murdered and being targeted, as we're going to touch another topic later on. I believe that was a terrorist attack. You just got to be conscious of what's going on around your surroundings. It's making people not even want to be able to go out and do anything. Honestly, like you can't even go to your local grocery store and go grocery shopping without nothing happening. Do I feel like these two things are related? I mean, it's a coincidence that it just happened 2 days literally after a shooting in a grocery store, and then another man goes into a grocery store with that much, artillery on him and trying to, set something up. It's just crazy and it's sad. So, I mean, my, thing to say to people is just be, conscious of what's going on. I don't want people to be living in fear, but it's just sad. I mean, there's so much I could say about it, honestly, but it's just too much. And the fact that he was going to do something, I mean, we don't even know what he was going to do. I mean, you literally walked into the store to walk all the way to the bathroom. I don't know if I haven't been to that location in a while, so I don't know if the bathroom was located in the front or the back. The fact that you got into that store and made it to a bathroom to stash these kind of weapons, that's just kind of crazy to me. And this is not the first time that he has tried to do anything. I think he had previous charges against him in the past. I'm not sure what those charges were. So yeah, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, if I may chime in addition to this situation in Atlanta, the Boulder, Colorado situation, and the massacre that happened again in Atlanta with the Asians, unfortunately, being murdered. You know, a lot of times when we say celebrities tend to pass away in threes, I feel like mass shootings in this nation tend to happen like in threes or in four or in fives. It's like when one situation or incident happens, it doesn't even take 24 to 72 hours before another city goes through it. And then 2 days later after that, like another city goes through it. And I don't know if these people that are owning these guns sort of, if it's like a gas light or a green light for them to like, oh, well, they're doing it in Las Vegas, so I'm going to do it in Atlanta. They're doing it in Atlanta, so I'm going to do it in Boulder, Colorado. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think at the end of the day, the larger picture, of course, is the forever everlasting conversation about gun control versus gun reform. Why is it still taking so long for reform to happen? Why are assault rifles and weapons of war still being allowed to be purchased by, you know, your everyday Joe? For them to continuously come and shoot up schools, shoot up churches, target, like CJ said, ethnicities and people like that for massacres and for just shootings to continue to happen. Something that I pulled really quickly, I was just researching, like, you know, about mass shootings and why the rise has happened. And so from whatever website, I forgot, I meant to write it down, my apologies, but it said an increase in firearm sales in the US started US at the start of the coronavirus pandemic, especially involving the first-time buyers, helped partially to explain the rise in mass shootings, reaching 1.3 million handguns and 700,000 rifles and shotguns sold by August 2020 alone. This was an increase of 60% over the average U.S. sales, with August gun sales being the fifth highest month on record, according to the FBI data. So to CJ's point, you know, with COVID going on and, you know, again, the social justice unrest, people feeling like they have to protect themselves, there's another side of the coin where people are, of course, unfortunately, just being very reckless with what they're purchasing. So, Zach, I don't know if you remember this, but during the Democratic National Convention and all the debates, I remember voicing that I wish that the Democrats would have came out stronger with gun reform. The Parkland incident, all this stuff, like, I feel like that gun reform piece, especially when the Democrats lost Florida, like, I feel like that was a good topic to really hone in on and get the GOP on and the NRA and all that stuff. And I feel like this gun reform conversation always goes under the radar. And as a country, how can we continue to let this happen for decades? And it's like people get killed and killed and killed, and we just let it go. And then another situation happens and we let it go. So I don't know. It's unfortunate, but the stats are there, the facts are there. Where's the solution?
Vince, I think you bring up some great points in what you said. I definitely think there has been a rise in purchases of guns, solely because of what 45 did and created, as well as the heightened racial justices that occur. But I think also when some people who have mental issues and mental health issues see something, they want to copycat. So as we know, the copycat syndrome is oftentimes happening with these kind of incidents. So that's why you might see them in threes or fives, because people want to do what they see others do and get notoriety for it. And so everybody wants sometimes that 15 minutes of fame, but they go about it the wrong way to get it. But I do think that with the rise in gun sales, you're going to see a lot more of this happening. I think with the whole talk of it, talking about the Democratic and the Republicans, I think it's a touchy subject, especially the Democrats don't want to rock the boat, especially if we're trying to create a bipartisan community, because the Republicans are big on having their gun controls and their amendments and their rights to own guns, regardless if they want to do the background checks or kind of things of that nature on it. But it has to happen. And I agree. We need to talk more about it and we need to fight it, regardless of the unpopular views of others.
So you know what, Zach, you bring up a good point. So I want to say that I don't know if, yes, gun Second Amendment rights is become a Republican talking point, but I don't know if the concept of bridging or bringing America together is a Democratic Republican issue. I heard a lot of people talk about President Biden is being held back because he wants to bring America together. He's doing that. 70% of Americans supports the action that he took around COVID-19. The majority of Americans, more than the number who voted for him in terms of percentage-wise, support gun reform legislation. So that to me is what it means to bring America together. I don't believe that the 50 idiots who sit in the Senate that have the title Republican by them, that refuse to vote for the COVID-19 relief bill, represent all Republicans in America. I don't believe that. I do believe that bipartisan support is coming, although it may not be from elected officials. I do believe that the majority of Americans are getting on board. And I believe that we're going to gain as Democrats, and I'm saying not you guys, I'm talking about me because I'm a Democrat, and I identify as a Democrat. I believe that we're going to get more people on board with the Democratic Party who are currently independents and Republicans than any other time in American history, because Republicans are refusing to do what is right and what is in the best interest of the American people. Or so I believe. Want to give a huge shout out to all of the viewers who are watching on Darius's page. Darius has a lot of viewers, and we're glad that you are with us. Anything else on this topic, gentlemen? This young man was Black. There is a myth among society sometimes, especially in the Black community, that these killers never look like us. Well, this possible killer most certainly did look like us. And now, my worry when you see that the Asian massacre that happened in Atlanta, although our state legislator just today passed sweeping release of more, it's now even easier to buy guns in Georgia than it was before the Asian massacre occurred. That bill just passed within the last 2 hours. So even though we had this man killing our Asian brothers and sisters, you have this man killing in Boulder, Colorado, and you have this man possibly trying to do something in Atlanta, I still feel as though I'm afraid there may be a deeper connection to this than we may realize. I'm going to say this is Zachary Kirk's conspiracy theory. I don't know what white supremacy networks are doing underground. I do not know to what extent that you have people like this who could be a Christian Walker or Candace Owens or Hodge twins who support white supremacy and uphold to have self-hatred, who are out here doing the work of the devil, And I'm going to say the devil throughout tonight's episode. At the end, you will understand why. And it really is concerning. We have some I want to also, before we're going to move on, but very briefly, I want to acknowledge Mary. Thank God that you and your daughter were safe. This is not only is it hitting too close to home for you, but it hits too close to home for us. The fact that someone that we engaged with on a Monday night was even involved in anything like this. It's a heartbreaking scenario, but it really speaks to how gun violence and unchecked mental health issues, if that's the case, could impact any of us.
And real quick too. I'll go ahead, Darius.
For 1 second, I just want to say, like, everything with this entire situation is presumed or things that people thought may have been happening. And that's the true issue. The true issue is that nothing that he did was against the law. That's the true issue. So you see, when you look at the stories, they talk about finding a ski mask, and then they talk about someone heard clicking, and then they talk about him having had a prior incident with a family member where he threw a bowl at a family member. And then they talked about having him, mentally examined. So they talked about all these things. But the true issue is that he could walk into that store legally with those guns open in the state of Georgia, and there's not an issue with that. The issue is that they assumed what he would be doing. So rather than trying to demonize this man or assuming what he would have done with that type of ammunition, they need to focus on changing the law so that no one has to feel uncomfortable while they're shopping in the Publix.
Now, don't you have to have a concealed weapon license in the state of Georgia?
Did they say that he didn't have one?
I didn't hear nothing about him having a concealed weapon.
Because that would have been the charge. The charge would have been having a gun without a permit.
He may have had it. Darius, I'm going to be honest, I thought about that. But here's the thing. If this would have been a white man going in Publix, I would have said he's a mass shooter. If it would have been any man, period, black, white, or otherwise, Zachary Kirk would have accused him of being a killer. Because what kind of man carries that kind of ammunition on his person in a conceal and carry, protect myself kind of way? This, to me, when I look at this amount of weapon armory, I'm saying you are going to kill. Now, you may be, you know, I'm from rural Mississippi, right? Where they go off in the woods and hunt deer. They just kill. They kill the deer. They kill the squirrels. My dog got a limp. They want to shoot my dog, kill my dog, put him out of his misery. He limping. I'm like, the dog just got a briar in his foot. We're going to kill my dog? That is where I'm from. But no matter who it is, to me, that indicates a mass murderer. So I thought about that. I did think about how, you know, there's no way he's going to get a fair shot at this. But on the other end, he knew better than walking into Publix, trying to get me an apple, and you're gonna hold and you're gonna bring me a AR-15.
I just want to add one more point, Zach, and this could be completely irrelevant. There is a gun range that is 2 minutes away from that Publix. There's a gun range that is 2 minutes away from that Publix, so there's no telling what he was doing. The point is that no one should be able to walk around with guns like that. It doesn't matter what their race is, but the fact that they're grasping for straws, and then they tried to come on later and say, oh, there was also a suspicious package that ended up being some food or some discarded trash. Like, it's like they're grasping for straws at this point. Change the laws instead of trying to have this person be a martyr. Could have possibly been on his mind to perhaps could have done if he had the opportunity to do it.
That's sad, Mama Vera. You know, these conspiracy theories from Republicans, they're out of control. I did see that, and I heard that as well.
And also, I mean, speaking of shootings, I don't know if people really heard about it, but there was also a shooting at Cumberland Mall just a week and a half ago too. I don't know if anyone got murdered or hurt or injured, but there was another shooting. Oh, no one got injured, but there was a shooting at Cumberland Mall just a week and a half ago. So yeah, we need to change the laws. It's just terrible.
I'm gonna be very interested to see how this whole thing plays out. That's why I'm still on the fence, because I want to know what they're going to be able to use to have this stick to him. So I'm very curious.
I think it has something to do with the Colorado shooting. I don't know what the actual link is, but I feel like it's just too much of a coincidence that he literally did it 2 days right after that mass shooting. It's just too much of a coincidence. And it was in another grocery store on top of it. If it wasn't at a grocery store in Colorado, I probably wouldn't think that it's linked. But the fact that it was in a grocery store and then he went into a grocery store with all these weapons, that's just too much. That doesn't make sense. That something's not right with that.
And again, we don't know to what extent these terrorist networks of domestic terrorists, of white supremacists are working underground. And we don't know what they're doing. I don't know to what extent the FBI is giving them the level of surveillance that they gave poor Martin Luther King Jr. and Lorraine Hansberry and civil rights leaders. But I also agree with that notion. In addition, guys, to this situation that happened this past week in Atlanta, we also had a sweeping legislation passed in the city of Atlanta, in the state of Georgia. Senate Bill 202 did indeed pass, that significantly changes voter rights and access, as well as how elections play out in Georgia. And I really want to talk about that and explain it. I want to say I saw on every Sunday I watch the Sunday news programs. I even watch Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace. I watch This Week with George Stephanopoulos. And I was very disappointed in the number of people speaking about this law who had not read the law. It was obvious. People didn't read the law. People are still talking about you can't give out food and water. Not giving out food and water is egregious. It's a concern. But that's not the big point. That's not the main deal. It's not just not giving out food and water. It's not just fewer days of early voting in a runoff. It's not just having to have ID when you vote. The real issue with this law is that our Secretary of State, John Raffensperger, or whoever replaced him, no longer has any power over the election. In every state in America, the Secretary of State sets the rules and the guidelines for an election. They are the ones who ensure that every county has their needs met in regards to ballots, in regards to voter ID boxes, in regards to personnel. We know that in Georgia, specifically in Metro Atlanta and our predominantly Black and brown areas, we have had some odd things happen with ballot boxes or the machines where you don't have cords, you don't have enough poll workers, and they put it up on the county. That happened to us in the Metro Atlanta area in the June primaries. Now, Raffensperger fixed that in November. All the challenges that happened in our election went to Raffensperger. This new law changes that. If this new law would have been in place, all of those complaints and challenges would have gone to the newly created elections board, because now that's where the power lies. And this elections board will be appointed by the Republicans who passed this law. So you mean to tell me that when Donald Trump calls and says, I want 12,000 more votes, they won't find those votes? When you have one man elected by the people to serve and all responsibility goes to that man, and if that man lies, he is going to jail for the rest of his life, there is a level of accountability. When you have an elections board put in place where they can collaborate, corroborate, and lie together, to me, it really speaks of the plan for the long-term game that the Republican Party has in Georgia to steal elections from the people and continue to marginalize and disenfranchise all of the voters. That's the real problem with the bill, and no one's talking about that because they haven't read it. People don't know it. They definitely didn't know it yesterday. I was angry and talking back to the TV when nobody was really giving the real issue, talking about water. The only journalist I've seen talk about it has been Rachel Maddow. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Senate Bill 202 that is now signed into law and how it could possibly affect Georgia voters? And also it goes to all of you guys who are joining us, because to me, this is really the most important issue of my week and possibly could be the most important issue of my year.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot to unpack. One thing that just really irritates me is that I'm tired, and just the articles that I read in regards to this story is how this will definitely impact and affect the Black community. And at this point, I am just very drained at the fact that everything is always going to affect us. So I really hope that with this new law enforced, that it just motivates us and encourages us to continue to strategize, to continue to mobilize, to continue to be educated. One thing that really warmed my heart was I was in Houston when that rally happened, Zach, that you went to, and everybody was like, you were about to lose your job in front of Kemp office or in front of the state capitol. Like, you know, I mean, we can call a thing a thing. You know, sometimes us Black people, you know, we can hop on the bandwagon when it's time to unite, and then, you know, we go on our separate way when we, you know, get the job done. So in my mind, unfortunately, after we got, you know, Biden and Harris and the Warnock and Ossoff in, it's like, okay, is it going to be difficult to get us to unify moving forward in the event something were to rise? So the fact that everybody was just irate about this on my timelines, and I saw the rallies and I saw the crowds happening, I was like, okay, good. We still in it. Like, we still woke. We're still apart. We're still recognizing that this is some bull crap that is happening that unfortunately will affect us. So again, I say, one thing that I will say about us is that we are so creative and we are so innovative. So I hope that with the strategies comes, you know, just things to loophole and work around these things that the Republicans are trying to put in place, that we can still show up in greater numbers, like too large of a number, enough for them to even deny or even attempt to steal, you know, the governor election that's coming up in 2022, or any election that may happen. So, you know, let's keep the fight on, and I just really hope we stay creative and innovative behind it.
I know we got tons of, Zach, don't mute. I want you to add in, but I definitely want to just, when you said that, it brought to mind two things. Number one, at that rally, in the beginning of the rally, when the media was present, there were more white people there than Black people. There were. And I know on this Five Guys on Live, we've talked about, you know, I'm tired of performative justice. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. I'm telling you, there's nothing that we can do in the state of Georgia that's going to be significant if we do not have white allies at the table and actually in the fight. Let me explain what I'm talking about. We only comprise 30% of the population. That is what they're counting on. They're doing this as a temporary stopgap to hold us back, but they're hoping, and Kelly Loeffler has a whole entire push trying to mirror what Stacey Abrams did in the Black community in the conservative Republican white community. She has a massive effort underfoot of registering voters and getting them mobilized, getting them excited, and making them believe that we are attacking them and going to take away their American freedom. So Kelly Loeffler is doing all of that work right now in Georgia. So she's going to get more white people who think like her and who want to see what she has registered. This is not just a black issue. This is not the time for just black people to come together and think that because we're going to do our part, it's going to be enough. We are going to do our part, but it's not going to be enough. We have got to get more Democrats in the state of Georgia. We have got to get more white allies and brown people aligned to the fight and have them mobilized to fight. That is the only way we're going to have the majority to finally push these people out of office. We're going to have to also get people in other parts of the state to run for office and beat these Republicans. The majority of Democrats live in Metro Atlanta. We got to spread out and we've got to grow. We don't have a choice. If we do not do that, we are doomed because we don't have the population any other way. I know Zach Thomas wants to chime in. I'm muting.
So yeah, you touched on some pieces that I wanted to talk about, and in that I don't think this bill disenfranchises just black people. If you look at it, they said the same thing about, okay, we started affirmative action, and so, but affirmative action and the food stamps and things of that nature don't just apply to black people. It's more poor white people who benefits from those things than we do. But then also with the whole like things that they put in, like if you think about it, there are more working class white people who work after 5 who's going to miss that. So they have to understand that this doesn't just affect the black community. Yeah, we're going to make a way because we've always done it. It's in our DNA to overcome shit like this that we've been set back for. So we're going to always make a way to get over and to make through and to get through things. But they fail to realize they're shooting their own selves in the foot with this because they're disenfranchised their own community that potentially are these working class or lower class white people who will vote for them because they're not going to have the same access either.
We hope so, right? We hope that we hope so. I mean, we're going to give it all that we've got. And yes, DeAndre, they did stay after the cameras roll. People didn't leave. People stayed for a long time. And you're right, Kenny. Some people on both sides and all sides are just doing this for their own benefit and growth and endorsement. But that's okay. I'm going to be honest. I welcome everybody to the table. I don't care if you are only doing and caring about these issues because you're going to run for office or because you want to be on social media flossing and gaining clout. I don't care. I'm just glad that you're there because it gives the numbers, it gives the impression, and it gets the message out. That makes me happy. Just the more people that can get the message out to me, the better, regardless of why that you're there. And there's a small problem, the idea of candidates moving to run against the GOP. If we don't have the votes in those communities, it's for nothing. People have to move to those communities. You're right. We have to move to those communities in order to get more people elected. People are calling for a boycott of Georgia products. And I am a major fighter for the boycott. I've got a lot of people giving me negative comments saying that you're going to hurt people's jobs and it'll be black people who will lose jobs. I just want to know, gentlemen, what do you guys think about that? Because today, I'm going to be honest. I was wondering, I'm going to call for a boycott of Coke. I chose Coke. I picked Coke because I've respected Coke for a long time. I value Coke. I'm a Coke drinker. I love Coke my whole life. So I chose Coke to be where I would target. Some people are choosing Delta. Some are choosing Home Depot. Some people are choosing AT&T. I chose Coke, but there's a whole variety of people you can target. And I was wondering if it was going to work. Today, literally right before our show, Latasha Brown, who's a big part of the whole entire Stacey Abrams network of registering voters, came out with a lot of information. A new article just posted. Several of them posted. The New York Times, the AJC posted one. Coca-Cola came back out with another statement trying to give more harsh language around the law, where they're saying that this is really not the end, people. We're still in negotiations with the state, blah, 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 trying to make it seem better for them because the boycott is really impacting them and gaining steam. The boycott's having a difference. Is the boycott a good idea?
I don't think so. I do think that people are going to be impacted by it. I mean, tremendously. And when you think of these corporations that are out here I mean, I don't know the numbers, down to a T, but I would have to say, based on my own assumption, that a lot of Black people do work at some of these locations, especially the call center positions. And I do feel like the Black people would be impacted by that. But again, I don't have the actual numbers of, what's going on. So.
DeAndre, you can pick whoever you want to pick. You can pick your company to boycott. If you don't want to boycott Delta, boycott Home Depot. Pick one.
Mean, there's other airlines, DeAndre, so that are cheaper than Delta, but okay.
So Zach, can you explain a little bit more why the boycott and why these particular places? Since they're not the ones created the law, some people might be confused.
Now that's true. They did create the law, and Vince, you had a comment to add in.
Yeah, I guess to sort of segue into what you were talking about, I love Delta Airlines, and so when I saw hashtag boycott Delta happen, I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I just got my Comfort Plus ticket to Vegas. Like I like Delta. They the only people that's doing the no middle seat to April 30th. All the rest of these airlines are packing people in. I flew American on the way here back from Houston. American Airlines, they're not even giving out hand sanitizer and wipes anymore. They're not even loaded from the back anymore. So I'm still rocking with Delta. But when I read the tweet that they put out in regards to the support of the bill, and Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like the verbiage was the reason why, or maybe the reason why they supported the bill is because it'll help their, I guess, flight attendants or some of their staff members in terms of, I guess a lot of those staff members were missing or darn near close to missing opportunities to vote. So I guess the bill sort of assisted or something. However they explained it, well, all in all, they sort of explained it in a way where it will help their staff.
That was a huge mistake on Delta's part. That was actually a PR huge mistake. That press release has now circulated all around the internet. What they were doing was saying that we are going to make sure that our employees are able to vote. It was really where they were trying to fluff it up, make it, put lipstick on the pig, make it all pretty. What they were saying was that this law is much better than the first law. That's what they're saying. Because the first, they had things in the law about ending souls to the polls and cutting back the number of days, not having Saturday voting. That is what Delta was saying. Well, this is much better than what it was. And we are so appreciative that we were a part of the negotiations to make it better. They made it so much worse for themselves. And I'm not saying boycott all the business. It's too many businesses to boycott. I'm just saying pick one. And you go hard at that one. And we all go hard on two organizations right now. That we go hard against the PGA, the Professional Golf Association, and against Major League Baseball. Those two events must cancel this year's events in Georgia. The MLB All-Star Game must not happen in Georgia, and the Masters Tournament in Augusta must not happen this year, because that will send a direct message to Governor Kemp that he can't undo. Zach, this is why we're saying we must boycott these businesses and what they failed to do. Voting rights advocates in Georgia asked the business community, AT&T, Delta, Home Depot, not Chick-fil-A, because they knew Chick-fil-A didn't give a damn. They asked these businesses to please help them fight against this bill. They also said, LaTosha Brown specifically, you made a commitment to Black Lives Matter. If you care about Black lives, then you care about Black votes. Stand up and support us. These businesses sent out little bitty simple comments and statements, and they did not take a stern stance. Coca-Cola donates and funds and supports the Republican Party of Georgia as well as the Democratic Party. They donated to Brian Kemp like they donate to Stacey Abrams. They spread their money around in a bipartisan fashion. A real commitment to Black votes mattering and Black lives mattering would be them saying, if you sign this legislation as a collective business community, we are not going to donate to your campaign. You will not have our funds. We are not going to be here. We're going to do things that will impact the economy, because that's all that they care about. In the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp cared more about the Georgia economy than he cared about the Georgia citizens. And he let COVID-19 run rampant in our state without ever issuing a mask mandate. This man cares about the economy. We begged these companies to leverage and put down some pressure, and they refused to do so. Now that the worst case scenario has passed, this law has come into being in existence, We have no choice but to take away our black. If you don't care about my black vote, then you can't have my black dollar. And that's why we're calling for the boycott. And so Vince, he wants a link to the tweet. I also, if you have it up to Vince, shoot that to DeAndre. If not, I have it, DeAndre. I have that tweet, I think, liked and retweeted on my Twitter. I think you can, if you just go to Zachary K on Twitter, it comes right up. And yes, Christian, we know that you love you some Chick-fil-A, and they're so problematic. With that being said, in addition to the bill being passed, look at this image here. This was the image of the bill being signed into law in an interior room of the state capitol. That's Governor Kemp surrounded by all white male Republican lawmakers with a picture in the background of Callaway Plantation. What has really gotten people, and thank God for historians to point this out, Callaway Plantation had forced black labor after slavery ended and forced black people to still work in that plantation. And that is where the governor of Georgia chose to sign this legislation. That is a clear dog whistle to the white supremacists of this world, around this nation, and in this state. DeAndre said earlier that these issues were brought up at CPAC, where they rolled out that golden statue of Donald Trump, and they strategized and they worked together to create their plan to tear down American democracy and hurt the black vote. And this picture, to me, is a shout out to his racist CPAC brethren. I stand with you and I serve the Dark Lord, Satan. In addition, we also had this happen. This is Representative Park Cannon, the youngest person ever elected to the Georgia General Assembly. I want to say she is the first openly LGBTQIA plus member ever elected to the General Assembly. She was arrested for knocking on the door of the governor's office as he signed this legislation. She has been charged with 2 felonies and 1 misdemeanor in the effort. Gentlemen, I know some of you saw this. I want to know what your thoughts are about the arrest of Park Cannon. I have a few thoughts, but opening up the floor to my friend. And Simone Bell was first. Thank you so much, Dr. Pickett.
So what she did, like knocking on the door, was that a felony? Like, was that not allowed? Like, I'm curious.
According to her, there is a state law that says no member of the General Assembly can be arrested during General Assembly unless it's for a felony. That is very likely why they are charging her with a felony. And a felony is disturbing General Assembly, although the General Assembly wasn't in session. So that's a good question. It's going to come down to the courts and what the courts decide in the case. She is not the first lawmaker to face this. Nikema Williams, who is now a representative in Congress, had the exact same thing happen to her also. And the charges against her were dropped. I am afraid, and I do not believe that these charges will be dropped because Brian Kemp serves the Dark Lord.
Yeah, the thing that of course this extremely just it angered me extremely. But they did, I think Twitter did a side-by-side with her being locked up and then the white guy sitting in Nancy Pelosi's chair during the insurrection. Just seeing that, just that picture alone, you know, again, just explains where we sit as a nation right there. And yeah, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and it just speaks volumes. So that's pretty much where I stand on it right there.
Zach Thomas, as someone who lives in another state, living in DC, what are your thoughts as you've seen this unroll in national news?
So it's interesting. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine this past weekend about this, who does some work in social justice and politics and things of that nature. And their thoughts was, and I was like, oh, interesting, that this piece of her getting arrested, to me and to him, kind of took away from the bill, and a lot of the focus was on her for a minute, with all of the images and all of the other means and gifts that were placed out. And I think that's why some people might not know what's in the bill, because it was lost on her getting arrested. And so I don't disagree in her tactic, but I'm just saying, we have to be mindful of what we do and what the outcome might be. Are we truly getting our messages across, or are we taking away from it?
I disagree. I disagree with that, Zach, only because I've seen in a small amount. I've seen memes about this bill floating around for the past couple of weeks, few weeks, maybe even the past month. But it's not been in as great numbers as we heard about Warnock and Ossoff. It's not been in as great numbers as we heard about, getting people to the polls and things like that. But I'm able to look at social media and see that before this bill was signed, it was being talked about. There were things that people were posting that we could do to prevent this from being signed. And people still did not know about this in mass numbers. And so until this representative got locked up, you couldn't have the conversation about her getting locked up unless you had a conversation about what it was that she was trying to do. And so she volunteered herself as I think that she may have known that this would happen, that it would blow up in this way. But it has brought more attention to the fact that while Georgians were sleeping, Governor Kemp decided to, in his office, close the door and sign this bill that is essentially the same as having Black people count bubbles in a bar of soap, or, having to figure out the different, like how much a cow weighs without even weighing the cow, like things like that. This is essentially the same type of voter suppression that John Lewis fought for so many years ago. And to see that we're still fighting these same types of attempts by the same types of people in Georgia is absolutely sickening. So I just hope that as people have become more aware of the situation that people have been talking about for weeks, that people will, as we've seen, continue to resist and continue to make their voices heard. I got a text message on Friday telling me to give the Southern Company a call. And we all know the Southern Company is the company that I think Georgia Power is under. And so for the entire state of Georgia, if your power is with Georgia Power, they want us to call and see why it was that they were supporting the bill. So when you think about it in that way, I can see why people are calling for boycotts. I can see why someone would go and knock on the door, and I can see why the media would still try to twist it and make it seem like it's something as trivial as bottled water in a line, when in reality, we know that these are some of the most restrictive voting rights, the most restrictive voting rights bill that has been passed in years. So we have to figure out how to put a stop to this.
So I want to chime in, Darius. Candy made me laugh a little bit, like, Candace, that was probably not the point for why Park knocked out the door. And Dwayne, I'm going to address this because so many people nationally are saying this, and I got to talk about it. I agree, but we got to talk about that too. Here's the thing. Every movement needs a face. We need a visual. We need a hero. And I'm for, I believe while we're today talking about Satan, and we're talking about all the dirty things that the devil tries to do to hold us back, because the devil is like white supremacy, a lie teller and a life taker. God calls people at certain times and ordains their steps for the causes of the movement. Rosa Parks had no intention of being the face of a movement. She was doing what she was directed to do in regards of social, peaceful protest, and became a national figure. Park Cannon very well probably went to that door with the intention of getting maybe a tweet, of maybe getting some video and attention, maybe just simply calling the fact of, I'm knocking on the door, the governor won't answer, maybe America will. It is what you do as a politician to bring awareness to the issues. But what the governor did and what these state troopers did took it to the next level. And now she has become a hero of the movement, as she should be. She put herself out there. She took a chance, and now she's suffering the consequences, but we have to have her back. We need a person to be the face of it. And how she was treated, how she was dragged out of there at 120 plus pounds by 4 white men, while she respectfully said, "What have I done? What are you doing?" I watched the video from beginning to end. Park Cannon did nothing wrong in how she handled herself. It was perfect. To be honest with you, it looked exactly like civil rights leaders were trained back in the day of how to handle the arrest. And I am so thankful she did it. Now, while your friend Zach said it took away from the bill, I promise you this: national news media would have moved on from this story the next day. because this is happening in Texas, it's happening in Florida, it's spreading around. Georgia was the first state to jump out there, but these other states are moving on right now. You have in Arkansas where they are putting in laws discriminating against members of the LGBTQIA plus community, right as it happened this weekend as well. This is national news because of what happened to Park, and we owe her a debt of gratitude. I am thankful that she did it. Dwayne, we don't have the votes for a national bill. We have to end the filibuster, but that can't happen right now. It can't. We don't have the votes. We have to have a 60 vote to pull and change this legislation, and we're not going to get it. Joe Biden cannot do anything to give you national voting rights. John Roberts, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, took them away. He took it away. So the only thing that can happen would be passing House Bill 1, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, but you can't pass it. Joe Biden can't pass it, and the Democrats and Senate don't have the votes. And it's sad. And what else, though, that may not be as sad, Vince, is this. Policemen in New York, tell us about it.
Yeah, so I guess on the other side of news, or a brighter note, if you will, the NYPD has become, well, New York has become the first city to end qualified immunity. For people who may not know what qualified immunity is, in the United States, qualified immunity is a legal principle that grants government officials performing discretionary functions immunity from civil suits unless the plaintiff shows that the official violated, in quotes, clearly established statutory or constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known. Just some backstory on the NYPD. They are the nation's largest police force with 36,000 officers. And so Mayor de Blasio, the mayor of New York, the reason why he definitely signed off on this bill, in quotes, he said, it makes it easier if someone has a concern to bring a legal action, but it does not put the individual financial penalty on the officer. However, it puts the department and the city, all the onus, if you will, on them. And that's what he was comfortable with. So I guess all in all, I just wanted to get everybody's comments on it. Is this a step in the right direction? Do you see other cities possibly replicating, my apologies, this move? And is this enough, if you will? This is something that, we've been hoping for and wanting. And is this just, a change in the right direction? And can we see some consistency happening behind it?
Crime is on the upswing. It's going up. This is a great bill. But is it safe for any other city to go in this direction? Bill de Blasio is very likely to lose re-election. He is highly unpopular, and it's very likely we'll have Mayor Yang in New York. Keisha Lance Bottoms, although thankfully she was able to raise $525,000 in a matter of hours because of fundraising that shows that she still has support of some people, she is also becoming hugely unpopular in the city of Atlanta because of her stance of being soft on crime in the eyes of some. Is it even safe to push these kind of policies this year? Gentlemen, that's a good point. Is it?
I'm just gonna say with policies like this, I just take it with a grain of salt because I really just want to see what it looks like in action. And until we see it in action, I'll just remain.
I want to see this absolutely happen across America. I want to see police officers who violate the law be held accountable. I want to see police officers have adequate training, adequate mental health support, and adequate what they need to do their jobs effectively. I want to see communities have what they need to do their jobs effectively. A plan needs to be created, guidelines to be put in place, rolled out to make this happen, and it's not happening. I am worried that mayors from this summer, like Lori Lightfoot, Keisha Lance Bottoms, Mayor de Blasio. Who is your mayor, Zach? Mayor Shonda?
That woman ain't named Shonda. Her name Mayor Bowser.
Mayor Bowser, I am worried that they're going to be collateral damage because they got caught between a rock and a hard place. They got caught between social justice movements and a call to reallocate funding, and then a group of people, for whatever reason, that chose to capitalize on the decrease in police force that was readily available and present. We have a number of people that were police officers in Atlanta who refuse to work in Atlanta any longer. They've gone to suburbs. They work in Clayton County. They've gone up to Forsyth County. And we don't have the police force we must have, and we can't recruit like we used to bring them in place. And now crime is constantly surging. Anytime you have even the smallest amount of criminal activity, I think there's now like a rash of car break-ins, who are like breaking the glass in cars. It's becoming a huge issue for Mayor Bottoms, and it's constantly staying in the news because we know who owns and controls the Atlanta area media. Candy says you should find print. DeAndre says, I do agree with Darius. These laws aren't cookie cutter. Well, when you speak about a rise in violence, we had a huge violent incident happen over the weekend in Zach Thomas's city of DC. Zach, tell us about a carjacking murder in DC.
So yeah, two teenage women, girls, actually carjacked this Uber Eats guy. Was stealing his car. It was caught on video. It's circulating, has made national news. They had tasered him as they were trying to drive away in the car, ran into a pole. He flew out the car and was like pronounced dead at the hospital later. And so I guess I wanted to bring this up because I was looking at some statistics, and we talk about the rise in crime. Like here in the area of the DMV and DC, carjackings from the month of January to March in 2020 was 22. But then the year 2021 from January to March is 101. And so that shows you there's an increase in crime. And I don't know if it's contributed to the COVID-19 and things of that nature and other issues that are happening. But then also, I wanted to kind of talk about this whole thing was recorded. And I had a big conversation with my friend, and he was under the impression similar to this. He was under the impression that the guy who recorded it should be found liable and held accountable because he didn't help do anything. And my whole stance is like, bystander effect, yes, it does happen. But when it affects me personally or puts me in harm's way, do I step in still or do I watch and capture? And so I want to kind of throw that out to the group as well.
So I saw the video in Houston. I don't want to say in real time. Oh.
No, go ahead.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I saw the video, and I didn't even know he passed until the message came into the group thread. For me, dealing with DoorDash and Uber Eats and just utilizing your car as this service, I've always wondered, because I've never done that. I haven't signed up to work in that area. Like, what is the emergency plan? What is the escape plan? Like, is there like a number or a button that you can press in your car in the event something goes left? And if there isn't, would this now encourage these companies to create some type of, again, escape or emergency plan for their drivers? Because like, I know my mom, she used to do Uber Eats, and like she would take like a friend or another family member around with her when she would do certain deliveries and things like that. And of course, I've heard that it is a very lucrative thing. I have friends that drive Uber. When Beyonce did the On the Run tour on weekend, they like made close to $3,500, just driving people around Atlanta. So I'm sure the money is great, but it's people crazy. I mean, that's what we've been talking about this entire show. Folks out here is crazy. And with that being said, what are these companies doing to protect their people? I'm very, very, very curious about that, because whenever I hear about Uber, DoorDash, anything, it's always about the money and the hours of this, that, and the third. But in terms of Oh, I think I'm going in and out. I'm sorry. The protection plan to make sure I'm safe. I haven't really heard much. I'm very curious about that.
This is not the first incident where, you know, there's been incidents with Uber or Lyft or people getting attacked or people that were dead. I mean, you know, during Uber or Lyft. But I guess my first question is, if this was Uber Eats, why were they in the car? Like, did they carjack him, or because I thought Uber Eats okay, so they actually okay. I don't know what their protocol is, but I do know the answer to Vince's question. Typically with Uber Eats, people are not in the car with Uber Eats. They're just delivering food. Now, when it comes to Uber driving and Lyfting and stuff like that, they do background checks, I guess, on the people who sign up for Lyft Uber. I don't know to what extent they do it on, but that's what they do. But in this case, he was carjacked because typically with Uber Eats, no one rides with you in Uber Eats. You're just delivering food. I don't know why they target him. I mean, was it just a random person? How did they even know he was doing Uber Eats? I mean, I'm confused with it.
I hope that they definitely endure the penalty for the crime, regardless of whatever they decide as they grow up and get older and mature. This man's life has been lost, and they need to suffer the consequences of their actions. I don't care how much reform they get in jail, how much they beg for, like, whatever will happen. I hope that they are penalized because this is a sad story.
No, absolutely, and they're so young. They're only 13 and 15 years old. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're not going to release the names of them because of their age. But I think I was kind of throwing out to you all was the whole age of everything is caught on camera. And when things like this happen, do we step in as bystanders, or do we record, or do we, and I see yes.
I'm never going to put myself in harm's way for you know, a situation that doesn't involve me. I will call the police. And it's sad because, are y'all hearing that feedback? Is someone not muted?
Everybody mute except Darius.
Okay, I was gonna say, it's sad because sometimes I'm even afraid to call the police because you know how far left a situation can go, especially if it's a, you know, non-violent. Well, I won't say a violent situation, but a non-like life-threatening situation like this became. But I would never throw my life in the line of danger for a stranger. That's just me personally. Now, if it were a family member or someone that I knew, a friend or something like that, like even breaking up fights, I'm not that person. Even as a teacher, I don't break up fights. I was no, stop, don't, press the button, get the principal down here, because that's not I've not been hired to be a security guard. I've not been hired to be a police officer. I am a civilian. If I witness a crime, I can call the police and I can record. That's the most that I can do for you. And then when the proper law officials get here, they can disseminate their information to decide what the action or what the outcome needs to be. But I will never throw myself in harm's way for someone I don't know. And that's just, it can sound how it sounds, but that's just how I am.
It doesn't sound bad, Darius. I think many people feel that way. I think you guys probably can make this. It depends. For me, it's been situational. I've certainly jumped in to fights that I observed and things that were not my fight. Because especially if I feel like somebody's being done wrong, it's just an automatic response for me. It's something I have to pray about and watch. And when you said that, I immediately thought of this fight that I saw, that I witnessed happen on a specific Sunday. I was running with my run group in front of the LA Fitness. It was some men fighting. And I jumped right in the mix to like do my part. It's just automatic. So, CJ, you were gonna say you fight too. You stand up for the underdog with me.
Sure.
I'll speak up. I've been known to yell at a police officer. I do that, but I'm not putting myself in a line of fire. We do that every day when we leave out the house with this black skin.
Absolutely.
Mary, I will help you. I will be there for you, Mary. I'm like Superman. I will be there.
You know I love you, Sister Pitts. I got your back. We're going to war up in the Kroger and up in the Target. I got you.
So they also raised the GoFundMe. Well, they started a GoFundMe page that hit $50,000 already. And to go with what I talked about earlier, I think this was a terrorist attack. I think he said once he was speaking and the girls realized what his language barrier was, that they went in more and they tried to attack him even more because he was from the Middle East or something like that.
He was. His name was Mohammed
Anwar.
Mm-hmm.
He was 66 years old.
So it's been we got a number of good things involved, and again, that's an independent choice. We are finally at our final topic, so just bear with us, please, CJ. I know that we are at that 1 hour mark, and you are ready to shut it down. Darius, tell us about this final topic. It really gave us tonight the whole entire theme of, and the title is, If You Let the Devil Ride. Does anyone know this old gospel song, If You Let the Devil Ride? Am I the only one who knows this song?
I don't know it. I don't know.
If you let him ride, he'll try to drive. Don't let him ride. It's an old gospel song. You need to Google it. And it's I thought the song was funny when I was a kid in church. I thought when I first heard it, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was funny. You guys know I'm United Methodist. I would go into my friend's Baptist church because we don't sing that in the Methodist church. They don't sing much of anything that ain't coming in the book in the Methodist church. It's real, it's like having seltzer water with a little bit of ice and then Coca-Cola. So the Baptist church is Coca-Cola, and the Methodist church we had just seltzer water with ice. So when I heard the song, I thought it was so funny. It's hilarious. But when you talk about the devil, we talk about your topic, Darius. Go ahead and tell us about it.
Well, in honor of Candace and I'm going to go ahead and put on my bonnet of salvation because it's too much going on with this. And I don't know if y'all know about the bonnet of salvation. If you don't, y'all just need to Google it. So apparently, a lot of people's feathers have been ruffled by Lil Nas X. And for some of my seasoned saints here, if you don't know who Lil Nas X, you might remember he's the prophet that said that he was going to take his horse on an old town road and he was going to ride it until he couldn't ride it anymore. Well, okay, y'all, that's enough. I got to take my bonnet of salvation out just for a second. Helmet of salvation, that's what it is. And so he released a new song called Call Me by Your Name, Montero. And it was a very interesting mythological display, if you will, of his interpretation of what it means to go to hell. And a lot of people might remember that Lil Nas X came out as a gay man last year sometime, to which a lot of people's response were, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. And if you are a gay person or if you've ever gone to a church, you know that that is something that gay people are told all the time, you are going to hell. So Lil Nas X took that, he took that salt that people throw on you when you're gay, and he said, well, if I'm going to hell, I'm going on a stripper pole. And when I get down to the bottom of hell, I'm going to twerk on the devil. And if the devil thought that he was a badder bee than I am, just wait, because I'm going to kill the devil and I'm going to be the new devil. And a lot of people have taken issue with this because they felt like it was sacrilegious. They felt like it was anti-Christian. And they felt like he was playing with going to hell. And so I want to know what you guys think about it.
Okay. So I feel like Lil Nas X is doing this for clout, for one. He made millions off of, Old Town Road. He got several, awards, a lot of endorsements and things like that. And he hasn't had a really big hit since then. I do think the video was creative, but I do believe that it was a little satanic for me. And I do believe it was a little too far. When you start playing with spirits and heaven and hell and talking about you as God and now you're a fallen angel. I mean, I'm sure people know the story of how God and devil were both angels. The devil became a fallen angel. He was just doing too much. And to even add more injury to insult, he went ahead to go release a sneaker that was going to be released today, which now Nike is suing the company who made the shoe. And the company who made the shoe was MSCHF. And the shoe specifically had 61666. He was going to sell 666 pair of the shoes. And he also had Luke 10:18 inscripted on the shoe. And Luke 10:18 means, and he said unto them, I believe Satan hath lightened fall from heaven. And he released that sneaker today. And then he got a lot of clapback for that. So then he said, okay, well, since you guys want to sit here and think I'm doing that, he put a picture of a shoe that was a Nike Air Max that said John 3:16 on it, and it had Chick-fil-A on it. It said "My pleasure." That shoe he was not selling, but the first shoe he was selling. Also, in that first shoe that he was selling, the makers were putting a drop of blood in that shoe. And yes, he sold all six.
The shoe sold out.
Oh yeah, of course. And I don't think what people understand, there is people out here that do believe in the devil, and there are people that have satanic cults and things like that and worship stuff like that. There's groups of them. So I'm sure people bought it that believe in that stuff. And I also believe that people bought it just to buy it and then to resell it for more than what it was worth. So I don't take light to that. And I think that he really does believe this. I don't know his upbringing, but he's definitely taking this and running with it. It's too much for me.
I thought it was creative. I liked it. I thought he is marking the hell out of this, branding. And I think he's staying relevant. I thought I really liked the video. I don't know. I thought he put up a big middle finger to people who saying gay people are going to hell. Like, I'm going to show you how it's going to look when the gays get to hell. So, like, I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry. And I'm a Christian, God-carrying, young adult choir member singing person. But I don't believe in censorship. And I know people believe in witches. I know people believe in voodoo. I know people believe in all kinds of stuff. And so that's your belief. And so I don't think it's going to corrupt in what I do because I have my strong faith. And so I enjoyed it thoroughly.
To answer LaQueen's question, it was supposed to be a pinch of human blood. Sorry, Vince. But to answer your question, it was supposed to be real human blood in those shoes.
Yeah, that's good, Zach. I think a piece of where I stand is similar to what you just said.
I just want to say it's Zach with the H. That's the heathen. The heathen for H. It's not the K. I'm the K. He's the H. Get it right.
That's funny. But no, for me, it's always been relationship over religion, right? And if you are very guarded and established in your faith, things won't affect you. Though you definitely have the option to not, go that far and entertain it. I'm not big into spirits and all that stuff. That's just like, I just don't even want to give that energy. But, the essence of it, I know one of the guys just said we have to listen to his explanation. For me, we know how Christians are, and like Darius put it in a great way. They've been throwing salt and judging and harshly critiquing and sitting down and kicking, homosexuals out and this, that, and the third. Whether you the white church or the black church, whatever piece of Christianity you are part of, that has just been a streamlined thing for decades. And so now that you have a person that has illustrated a visual on what you've been saying, what you've been speaking upon my life. Now I'm giving a visual for the words that you've been speaking upon me. Now you catching offense to it. Well, you've been saying this for forever. So what you so rattled by? Because now you're seeing what you've been speaking on my life. You get what I'm saying? So that's where I see the message. Would I personally have gone that far? No. Would I have done shoes like that? No, because the spirit's real and you don't want to play with that, and then you trying to make a point and then something really attaches to what your intentions was. I ain't got time for that. But I do think that it definitely shook the Christian community, and the Christian community needed a good shake, in my opinion, in regards to this matter. I mean, it's like we say, you made your bed, now lay in it. The Christian community have made their bed. They have commented on this and ridiculed and criticized and all this stuff for decades on decades. And now that you see a very descriptive, vivid visual on what y'all been saying gonna happen, now you mad. Nah, bro.
Yeah, Vince, I'm with you. That's why I wanted to bring it to you guys, just to see what you guys thought about it. Personally, I enjoyed the video, but the shoes is where I draw the line. I would never wear those shoes with the little symbol on it. And
pentagram. It has a pentagram.
A pentagram, is that what it's called? I don't know nothing about all of that. But like Vince said, echoing the sentiments of some of the other people here, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell somebody you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, thinking that's going to change them. And then when they tell you, well, I don't give a damn about your hell, now you feel some type of way about it. It's just when you do that to be mean-spirited or to be mean-hearted to people, you have to make sure that you're ready for what's coming on the receiving end. And then to that to the other point, yes, to Sister Pitt's point about with Old Town Road, a lot of the backlash is because Old Town Road was such a hit with children that they feel that the children will see these images that Lil Nas X are putting out there and aspire to hell as well. To which he responds, he's an adult and his music is for adults. Even Old Town Road was a very...
I think he's 28 years old now.
Yeah, and Old Town Road was had very salacious lyric. 22. He was talking.
I thought he was 28.
He's not that old. I'm 28. But he was talking about what was he talking about, y'all? He was talking about cheating on somebody, and
it may have been those high heels he had on that made him look so much older. I wanted to add in to Dwayne Carter. Now, Dwayne, let me, I'm gonna be honest with you. Lil Nas X has had 23 million records sold without any album. This song is unfortunately a hit. It's a hit. Montero, Call Me By Your Name is a real certified legitimate hit. I'm not saying I'm crazy about the song. It sounds average to me, but his marketing, as Zach Thomas said, has elevated it. There is something that I think I really want to call attention to some demographics for everybody out there. Because, Mama Pitts, I agree with you. I wouldn't let a young person see the image, period, right? Like if you are of a certain age, I don't want you to see this being a man or a woman. Either or doing that with Satan. But here's the thing that I want to emphasize is that Christianity must evolve and become truly about the teachings of Jesus Christ to remain relevant. Young people are running away from the Christian faith, and they are abandoning that faith in large numbers because of the things that have been hit upon and talked about in this discussion. And some of the things that Lil Nas X has also talked about in his commentary. And Chris, I've seen the things that Montero has stated. I want to say definitively, let me make myself big for one quick moment because I want to say this right here. With that being said, I don't care if there are 10 Christians left on earth. I'm going to be one of them. I don't care if they gather every single one of us up and give each one of us our own cross. I will be right there with them, giving my life for my faith, because I'm a Christian today and I will be a Christian forever. In this video, you had all these images of hell. I don't think about hell. I don't acknowledge hell. I know it's real, but it ain't something that's a part of my life because I don't have to worry about hell because I know I'm going to heaven. I have no doubt in my mind of where my end of days will be. So to be honest with everybody out there, all of this meant absolutely nothing to me because I know what my future holds and what my transition into everlasting life will be.
Amen.
And you know what? Even looking at it, even looking at it just industry wide, I don't know if people remember Nicki Minaj's very first, maybe even only Grammy Award performance when she was doing the Pope and she got the exorcism on stage. And heavy metal has always been deep into satanic stuff. 3-6 Mafia rap, the industry has been meddling in this satanic stuff for quite some time now, unfortunately. But like Lil Nas X said to I think to the governor of South Dakota when she was like, we losing the soul of the nation or something like that. He was like, you got a whole state and COVID going on. Why you all over here on my timeline? Oh, what have you? But all in all, he's like, I am not here to be your child's censor person. That is same thing with Cardi. We was talking about Cardi and Meg, the backlash she got from the Grammy Awards. Like, I'm not here to be your censor. And then at the end of the day, it irritates me Like when we have these young stars come out, like you said, Old Town Road 22, like Britney and the teeny boppers, that they have to grow up, and their following will grow up with them. So they're not about to be singing Hannah Montana when they 45 years old. Like that's not even realistic, So I wish people would stop, like just get that narrative out of your head. Like it ain't happening. People got to grow. You got to grow, and the followers that they are so concerned about watching are growing up too. So guys, just let it go.
But was Christians in a double standard, as we talked about Megan and Cardi B's performance at the Grammys? Is that not like over sexualization and two women humping each other? The Christians didn't get in the uproar over that?
Well, I think not, because it's not, even though it's sexual activity, it's not actually showing like the devil and twerking on the devil and falling from heaven to hell, and you got a wig on, then then you got on high heels with these horns. Like it was just all over the place.
It's art. We can't censor art.
Every second of the video.
I think the video was very creative, but I think what's making it worse is that he went on even after the video to start doing these sneakers and.
I disagree in that.
It's career. Look, let me tell you something. I don't care about his soul. I ain't worried about his soul. I'm not. This man can go to hell every day of his life on a pole. That's his life. That's his soul.
Right. And
I don't care.
To go off of Vince was how artists
because people will do something, everything for money.
You said that for Nicki Minaj when she did the Roman's Revenge thing. I get it. I mean, but then that goes, is that satanic or is it the freaking Illuminati? Like, that's a whole nother conversation, what they worship and believe in, because that's, some other stuff.
Well, I think she caught flack because of the exorcism and just what that whole performance represents, which does correlate to satanic stuff.
But I'm saying, is it related to that, or is it related to the Illuminati that they were tied to? Because she was also associated with that as well. That has something to do with evil spirits and stuff.
I mean, I get it, but just all in all, like this has been within the industry, whether it's under our noses or if it's broadcasted. I'm sure, like they be playing songs backwards all the time, and the stuff that they be hearing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a real thing. But like I said, like Zach said earlier, it's relationship over religion. And when you are firm and established with who you believe in and the God that you serve, this stuff should be able to follow, just fall off your back, and you continue to pray. Because at the end of the day, it is our job, and that's what I'm saying. As Christians, at the end of the day, it is our job to love people, not change people. Whatever that looks like in your world.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You pray for them
or condemn them. Right.
Yeah, whatever.
And I know we need to end, but I just want to Jack to bring back up Candace's point about him trolling. Because to know Lil Nas X is to know that he is a professional troll. He even went on to issue an apology video where the video started out. I know a lot of people were upset about the shoes. And I just want to let you all know, and it goes right back into the video. So he is a professional troll. This is what he does on Twitter for a living. This is what he does, and it's provocative. And a lot of people, I think, what was the number on the YouTube video? Was it 27 million in less than a day? There's a lot of people watch the video. So his goal is being accomplished, and people are having a conversation. So I say kudos to Lil Nas X. Call him by his name or whatever other name you want to call him by, but he is going to continue to make his coins, and I'm going to continue in holiness.
Even Lil Uzi Vert, when he's on tour and he has the upside down crosses, which we know that's like the 666 Witch Factor and stuff like that, and he's selling out arenas, and black people, all people, but everybody going to his concerts at State Farm Arena. Then what is it? Push me to the all my friends I did. Push me to the edge, and upside down crosses, flames. And you know how Lil Uzi Vert looked like already. It looked like the gremlin off Lord of the Rings. You feel me? So like this stuff, this ain't new, y'all. It's not new.
Again, I don't care what he does. I don't care. I'm not gonna be. But I'm also. It ain't for me. I'm not gonna be a part of it. I'm gonna tell you right here. It's not for me. None of that's for me. It's just not for me. I have to protect my mind at all times. While people are sitting here worried about hell, I'm focused on heaven. And I'm focused on manifesting the very best that God has for me so I can do what he sent me here to do. And that's that. So if Lil Nas X wants to draw his power from the Dark Lord, the same Dark Lord that Brian Kemp serves, the same Dark Lord that Donald J. Trump serves, that's his business. I serve the Lord of heaven and salvation.
And that's the benediction. Pass the plate.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I passed the plate. I took. Let me tell you something. Let me give you a testimony about the Lord. Because you say pass the plate, I give my 10%, and the devil tried to take my 10% of my tithes. The devil tried to take it away. Because of the COVID-19, I couldn't get in my bank. I had to give my tithes. Cash App didn't work. The website was there. I had to get in my car, go to my bank, get a check because I don't have any checks, drive the check to Impact Church, hand it to the woman, and wait several weeks for them to cash it. But I did my due diligence and what the Lord has directed me to do. And all I can say is I hope you do the same. With that being said, everyone have a blessed week. Don't let the devil ride. You let him ride.
Hey, absolutely. Go ahead, Ben.
So basically, you saying, "Oh, heaven is my goal." I said, "Heaven, heaven, all the way." Da, 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 da. If I live, let me stop.
All right, before we have a Black History 365 this week.
We certainly do. We certainly do.
Quick, I'm gonna say it real quick because we do need to go. So, in honor of Women's History Month, I chose Gladys West from Southern VA. She is a great American mathematician known for her contribution to the mathematical modeling and the shape of the Earth. So, anytime you think of GPS, make sure you think of this woman. She is still alive. Black excellence at his best. And she even went into eventually incorporating the global position of systems on the Earth. So shout out and thank you to Gladys West of Virginia.
Get your helmet of salvation in time for Easter from Darius.
Your helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness.
Right. May the Lord watch with me and thee while we are absent, one from another. Until we meet again, we will see you guys soon. See you next week. Goodbye. Thanks for joining.